If your solos aren't getting better no matter how much you practice, you'd be tempted to blame your technique. But after 20 years of playing guitar and coaching hundreds of students, I discovered 5 sneaky habits that secretly wreck your progress. And I'm about to show you exactly what those habits are and what to practice instead, so you can finally play killer solos. Okay, so the first bad habit is going to completely change the way you see the guitar. Now, imagine this. I will tell you a story like this. Yeah, I know my intonation isn't always amazing, but it's not that bad. I mean, I hope. Anyway, that story would be painful to listen to, not because the words are wrong, they actually make sense, but because the timing is awful. Well, you get it. Playing the right notes but at the wrong time makes your solos worthless. But you already know that. The real issue goes a bit deeper. Because most guitarists spend so much time on melodic side, theory, technique, scales, they build these terrible habits of always using the same rhythm patterns. Think about the last lick you played, if you can remember them. And if you're like me, well, just pay attention the next time. Chances are, even if the notes change, the rhythm pattern stays the same. And even worse, your phrases probably always start on the downbeat, and that's pretty boring. I personally realized I was doing that years ago, and it felt like discovering a whole colony of bugs hiding under my bed the entire time. But once I noticed it, everything about my playing changed. So here's how you can work on it. First, pick a rhythm pattern, like this one. Then go to the first minor pentatonic shape. And finally, try to create a lick that fits the rhythm pattern you choose. And by the way, I've prepared a list of 10 rhythm patterns that you can use for your solos. Click the link in the description to grab it. Okay, prepare yourself because now I'm about to show you a trick almost nobody talks about. I discovered it while reviewing the videos my students sent me in my guitar program. They all had the same issue. In the program, I teach them to use the classical position with the thumb here when they need big finger stretches, and the blues position with the thumb here for bends, vibrato, and more expressive stuff. But here's the problem. Even though they could do both, they couldn't use them in their playing, because they did have no clue on how to switch between the two smoothly. And that's when it hit me. They were treating the classical and blues positions like two separate light switches, on and off. Instead of that, you should see them like a dimmer switch. It means that your thumb and wrist are in constant movement, not two fixed separate positions. So here's how you can improve this. Take a lick that mixes bend and hammer-ons like this one. And force yourself to switch from one position to another. This is not going to be easy at first, but with a little bit more practice, it must become automatic. Unless you've got habit number 3. Let me tell you a secret. Whenever I play a tough solo, there's always that one brutal spot I know is going to push me to my limit. And honestly, 3 times out of 4, I still end up fucking it up, even after spending hours practicing that section on its own. And the reason is super simple. Right before it comes up, I tense up like a brick from head to toe. I'm still working on this myself, and I know a lot of you deal with the same thing. But there is a problem. Most guitarists think relaxing just means loosening the arms and the hands. But if you look closely, your whole body is tense, like you're preparing for impact. That tells your brain to switch into danger mode. And when you're in danger mode, the first thing you do is definitely not play killer rock solos. It would be funny though. Of course, if you want to switch smoothly from classical position to blues position, you've got to relax. If you want to play faster, you've got to relax. If you want your bends to stop sounding like every stray cat in the neighborhood, you've got to relax. So every time you practice, take a second to check your body. Think about your face, your back, your legs. Try breathing. It actually helps sometimes. And over time, you'll finally break this horrible habit that's been wrecking your solos. Alright, this next bad habit connects to the first one, but it hits in a different way. When I worked on my album, I spent hours shaping the intention behind every note. I'd play the same line 100 times, even if the rhythm, the notes, and the technique were already good, because the emotion behind each note still wasn't what I heard in my head. And yes, when I said 100 times, I mean it. Sometimes way more. So what does this have to do with habits? Most guitar players only focus on theory and technique, and that's the problem. When you think about improving your solos, you think about alternate picking, cleaner notes, tighter technique, and that's all great. But if you stop here, you'd become like a writer memorizing grammar rules and forgetting to actually write a story that makes people feel something. Because in the end, that's what everyone means when they say play with feel. But I'm not a big fan of calling it that because it sounds like some mystical superpower, so I prefer calling it intention. Intention is simply matching the sound you hear in your head with what actually comes out of your guitar. So you absolutely have to make this part of your practice routine. First, listen, whether it's a sound you have in your head or something you love in a song. Then try to recreate it. Experiment with everything: pickups, pick angle, attack, vibrato, wrist movement, sustain, whatever it takes. Because that's the big difference between beginner players and advanced players. And that brings us to the fifth habit. Most of my students hit play on the backing track and start soloing immediately. But they end up with a stiff solo that feels totally disconnected from what's happening underneath. And trust me, I'm not judging. I used to do exactly the same thing. It was one of my worst habits, and getting rid of it is what finally allowed me to write my first album all on my own, which, by the way, is coming out at the beginning of 2026. I'll talk more about that later. So the truth is, if you want to play epic solos, you don't just need to think like a guitarist, you have to think like a musician. So here's an exercise for you. Pick your top 5 favorite solos, and instead of focusing on the lead part, listen to the rhythm section. What are they playing? Is it always the same thing? If it changes, why? What does that bring to the solo? Do you think the solo was created before, after, or at the same times as the rhythm part? Of course, you can't know for sure, but asking those questions makes you think. And then, every time you try to improvise or try to create something, take a moment before you play. Think about all those questions. Listen to the backing track. Sing a few melodies, and only then touch your guitar. Sometimes when you're stuck, the best thing you can do is listen more and play less. So now you know how to get rid of those bad habits so you can play killer solos. But if you don't know the pentatonic all over the neck, you're still stuck in one tiny box. Go watch this video. I'll show you the best pentatonic trick to unlock the entire fretboard. Thanks for watching.